It works. Hey Internet, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, episode 30, Futurum Nondum Scriptum. And this is our season finale. Long awaited, teased for many weeks, a monumental feat on my part to have not given away anything to anyone in all of this time. Though I so desperately wanted to. I am not a
He asked us
good...
permission at one point, and we said no.
Yeah, I mean, it was fair. I wanted you to have the opportunity to be prepared for a twist, and you all trusted me, so hopefully I don't disappoint tonight. We're gonna get going in a few minutes. If I seem a little bit off, I am. I am not feeling the greatest, but I'm feeling well enough to run this game. So, as we get ready to get back into things, I want to draw your attention over in the upper right-hand corner. Above Tamiko and M, you will see some colorful domain pops. Those are domain dice for this game. They are a way that you, the viewer, can have an impact on the game by subscribing, resubscribing, tipping, cheering 500 bits. All of that stuff earns domain dice, or rather domain pops, for the player, such as that gifted tier 1 sub from Smokebeard, I think.
Oh, is it?
Smokebeard gifted the sub to
Yep, he gifted
Jeremy.
it to me.
Oh.
So
Thank
what that
you,
looks like
thank
here
Thank you, Smoke.
is I'm actually going to bump you up to 30. And that's what happens when they get used. They get eaten up. So you're sitting at 31 right now. Also, we say this before all of our games. Actually, I'm going to hold off on that part till right before we go live, because I want to just remind everybody that as it nears the holiday season, MTD is winding down for the year. We typically take month of December off. So some of our games, this is the finale. We will have one more session the week after Thanksgiving, and then we will be done until the new year. And that will be the case for many of the games. So we have one more session in 2 weeks of Sky Metal Iron Gods. And we have at least one more, possibly two more, of Scribes and Scrolls. Before I get into the final pieces of the announcements, I'm going to turn it over to Ted for a very special announcement.
Hey everybody, thanks Jake. So normally we have the monthly game that Jake is in over on Nerdarchy. Jake is not, feeling great health wise. So that game may or may not be happening tomorrow. You can stay tuned probably to his own social media, but Nerdarchy's as well. And we'll make that final determination, when Jake feels either up to it or not. But more importantly than that, Zoo Mafia is now live on Kickstarter. If you've seen, Jake and Jeremy's, game that they were in, then you've already, have somewhat of an idea of what it is. We've got several games over on the channel as well to check out. But if you're interested in checking out a RPG that's powered by an Apocalypse engine, but our hack of it, where you get to play a zoo animal that's trying to get into a mafia, then this is the game for you. So go check out Zoo Mafia over on Kickstarter. And, yeah. Thanks.
Excellent. All right, so as I always remind you before we get into these games, we are adults playing a role-playing game. We sometimes use adult language. And situations can get intense with descriptions, physical violence, body horror, and emotional intensity. Sometimes past past episodes have dealt with elements of verbal abuse and things like that. Please be warned that that's some of the content that you may see, and if that's not something for you, feel free to head on out and go watch something else. We will not be offended. Know that we have safety tools at our table, and I've even just before this game emphasized those safety tools. We encourage you to use safety tools at your own table, so that even though we know one another's lines and veils and we respect those, we want to make sure that we don't cross any lines that shouldn't be crossed. Or, sometimes people's lines and veils change on a daily basis. They're not static. And we want to honor that. So we will be employing that as necessary. And then before we get into the game proper, I just want to remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. There are any number of reasons that you might be struggling. Just know that, one, it is okay not be okay. Struggling is normal, but you do not have to struggle alone. At any time, you can come into our chat and you can type !help, and a couple of URLs will pop up. Check out findahelpline.com or check out takethis.org's growing list of resources. We encourage you to bookmark those sites, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise, Michigan. By way of a recap, we are going to do something a little bit different. Chad, I would like you to tell us what, a little bit of an oak recap, if you will. Keep it short and pretty succinct, but think of it as this is what's most important to your character going into these events that you've been experiencing.
Okay. Man, that's a lot. Okay, well, sure. Oak came to Paradise to have a relaxing and enjoyable experience, make some friends and have some fun. That turned into drastically different within like 2 weeks. And he both found out about all of the things that were going on, all of the conspiracies, everything, and that turned into him basically uncovering his own timeline. He discovered his older self. He also, apparently, in this house, has discovered his birth date of, and so he has relived his start and his finish, and has found out about all the ley lines and all the nexus points, and realizes that he was a large portion of that. The things that I think are going through his head, though, are, how do I get to be with these people again? How do I get to hang out with my friends again? I don't want to lose them. I don't want this summer to end, but I don't want it to be like this. I don't know what to do. And then there's all these other questions that he's got going on in his head, like, why would my parents, basically sign on to a contract with this dude? Why would Ashley Raven be involved in any of this? And what is all the things that are going on, all the little threads? He's trying to piece them all together, and it's kind of causing him a panic attack. Honestly, in this moment, it's kind of causing him a panic attack because he just watched his best friend brain someone to death with a poker. He also watched numerous things that he will be traumatized with for life. And yeah, I think that about sums up the
That's
summer
it?
that Oak had. He's traumatized. I'm going to therapy. I just want to play D&D, y'all. I
What a
just want to play
wild and
D&D.
crazy summer.
Chad, go ahead and pick somebody else to go next.
Okay. You know what? Let me have my brother from another mother coop go right after me.
Well, how can I follow that though?
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm
my
such
God.
I'm such a trauma bust. You have to follow this now.
So, hi, I'm Coop. I didn't want to come to Paradise. My mom made me. I just wanted to stay at home and play Nintendo all summer. I don't really have any friends, so it's nice that in Paradise, I gained 5 friends, but I also lost 5 fingers. That's it.
All right, pick somebody.
Put that
to
on
go
a
next.
t-shirt.
I went to Paradise and all
like-
I got was, and all I lost was 5 fingers.
5 fingers.
I think I'd like to hear from Laz next.
Okay. Yeah, so like I had to come to this stupid place and hang out here all summer long. And this place it's just another bus stop as far as I'm concerned, you know. I'm on my way to Cali as soon as I can get there, and then I'm never coming back. I'm never looking behind me ever again. Except that didn't really turn out that way. So now there's all these people here that kind of need my help, and you know, I gotta watch out for them and stuff, and they're all right, you know, they're okay. But this place fucking sucks.
I know when you're targeting those bingo squares. Go ahead and select somebody else.
Let's go with Rosie.
Awesome. So, I'm Rosie. I'm going into high school next year, so really I didn't want to come to Paradise and be away from everybody the year before high school. You know, I figured I should work on my pitching while I'm here, because not a whole hell of a lot else to do. And I'm going to try to make the baseball team next spring, and that's going to be hard because they don't let a lot of girls on the baseball team. They don't let any girls on the baseball team. And anyway, a lot of weird stuff going on here, and I mean, it's getting in the way of my practice. But I mean, the people here have been nice. It's been nice to get to know people and to make some friends, and they've been better friends than a lot of the friends I've had in the past. And you know, but I don't like this place. Makes me think too much, and I don't like it, and it makes me feel feelings too much, and I don't like that either. And so I want to get out of here. I want the summer to end, but I don't want the summer to end. And shit, I'm thinking too much again. And I think that's about where Rosie's thought process would stop.
Next.
I'll say my sister from another mister, Jessica.
All right. Well, so like my parents are like getting a divorce, right? And so then they wanted to send me all the way to my stupid grandparents' house, which, by the way, spoiler, might not even be my grandparents, and my parents might have actually sold me. So my summer has been like in like one of those like magazines, you know, and like the so dramatic and so full of I also have superpowers and a twin in a mirror. So you could say I'm like the best. And that's it.
That leaves Billy.
And yeah, passing it to Billy.
All right, so I am Billy, I guess the teenage werewolf, the dog man, whatever you want to deem me as. And yeah, his summer was apparently a very similar thing to so many of my fellow friends here, that being sent away for the summer because parents can't seem to get along and know what's going on, and lots of fighting, and who knows whether they're going to still be together or not by the time the summer's over. But that drama was only just the tip of the iceberg to find out that I'm from this place. My dad's probably not really my dad. My brother's probably not really my brother. I come from a long line of werewolves. Was captured and kind of convinced the werewolf aspect along, all while potential relationship drama just kind of looms just out of reach. And the girl he kind of is liking is now the twin is giving him a kiss, and it's all absolutely crazy. And because he didn't say anything when it happened, he's now worried that she's going to be mad. And since he turns into a werewolf and gets punched by this person, it's all just way too much to think about. And sometimes it's just not good to be a werewolf.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. We are going to rejoin our scene in the sunroom on the solar room on the second floor, where you had all gathered to talk to Ashley, Raven, and Persephone. So Persephone became erratic, confused, and started to become violent. And while monologuing, Laz impulsively jumped up and struck her in the head with the fireplace poker, killing her. She fell forward onto the floor at your feet and into a cloud of dust. The sound of the fireplace poker clattering on the floor. All around you, you feel a deep rumbling in your feet. A shaking. As Ashley Raven looks directly at you, Laz. What have you done?
I don't know. I don't know. But she was gonna hurt Coop. I couldn't let her hurt Coop.
I would not have let that happen.
You weren't gonna let that happen. You let all the rest of this shit happen. That's where you draw the fucking line. You didn't stop his hand from getting lopped off.
That was not on me. And she glances at Jessica.
Bitch, this is all on you.
Well,
This
know
whole
this.
fucking place is on you.
Know this. The next iteration, the movement would have been subtle and peaceful. But you have just toppled the first domino, Lazarus. What happens next is out of my hands.
It's not out of mine. He bends down and he picks up the fireplace poker.
As you do, the very moment you pick it up, the floorboards crack right underneath. You do pick it up, but you're sort of lurched sideways. You all feel this. The house is beginning to shake violently. You can hear elsewhere in the house the sounds of glass breaking, items falling. You can hear you can even see all of the windows in the solarium. As the whole house seems to first lurch to one side, it seems to stretch and then compress. Just suddenly, all these windows start shattering inward. The door that you all came through, the green door with the brass handle, out into the hallway, as the house lurches again, it sort of stutters open partway. And Ashley is just standing there watching all of you and just slowly shaking her head. What would you all like to do?
Ashley, if this is
like,
I think Oak would step in if this is allowed, right? Oak would step in front of Laz. Ashley, hold on, wait. Is this you? Are you doing this right now?
I said, what happens next is out of my hands. This is not me.
You know you need me, so you know you can't do anything that hurts any of us. You know that. Because you hurt them, I don't help you. And if I don't help you, I don't get to see them again.
This isn't about me. Whatever happens next is about each one of you. If you want to save your friends, I suggest you run. She, in counterpoint to her own words, takes a step back and sits down in the chair as wood is splintering around. The ceiling is starting to crack.
How high up are we?
How high? You're on
the window just shattered inward, you said.
Yeah, you're on the second floor.
Second floor.
Is this a full like 2-story or 3-story house, or is there like an area where like we could jump to like the first floor roof of a section from here? Or do we have to go back to the house?
The outside the windows that just shattered, there is a porch roof over the back porch.
Awesome. Let's make a jump for it. I will
Laz
say
is
Rosie
headed
is
for
Rosie is kind of just now sort of snapping out of it. She was sort of numbly staring at the place where Persephone fell and just kind of like staring at that spot. And then now that the place is fucking coming down around our ears, she grabs her bat and is ready to go.
Oh, just to build on what
Let's
Ted
go through the
asked.
window.
Yeah. What is it? I'm looking at the map, and we are right above the back porch. So if the back porch is covered,
That's what I said.
Yeah,
There's a
that's,
porch.
that's what Jake said.
There's a porch roof
So,
outside the window.
I'm gonna
damn it!
Tamiko was
I'm gonna
doing
reach down.
furious research.
I'm gonna reach down and I'm just gonna like, look to Coop and be like, look, and I'm just gonna pick him up and see if he's got a problem with it.
These are essentially almost floor to ceiling windows, so you don't have to like pick somebody up and over.
No. I'm gonna put him on my shoulder and jump out the window.
Oh, okay.
Because Coop is still hurting for certain, so he's just carrying him, I assume.
Okay.
And as has been said, numerous times, I'm kind of beefy. So
It's
So
too slow to control. Let's go, Billy.
Billy
go.
grabs hold of Coop and jumps through the window. Billy, as you jump through the window, you do not land on the roof. Nor are you holding Coop. As you pass through the window, you actually are passing through the window back into the solarium. Except the window's not shattered. The window is just opened. It's kind of opens outward. And you are just climbing in. And inside this room right now, there is nobody. Except the door suddenly opens and your mother, Nancy, comes in. You are 5 years old.
Oh.
Billy, I've told you to stay off the roof. You're going to get hurt.
am I in this moment or am I watching this moment?
This is from your point of view. You see from the point of view of a 5-year-old. You are much closer to the ground.
And again, this is a memory that I don't actually have because I don't remember anything of me in this house.
Correct.
I'm just like, I'm gonna. I mean, I've said this numerous times. I'm gonna stare dumbfounded. Like I'm not sure how how to react in this situation, because I don't know if I'm just watching or if I'm, sorry, the chat is making me laugh. Or if it's like I'm actually reliving something to kind of actually get an experience. This house has really done quite a number on Billy, and honestly, he was excited to just get out. He would love to just burn this place to the ground and move on and not lay any kind of claim to anything related to being a stabler. This has not been good.
Nancy comes over to you as you stand there just staring at her, and she picks you up, kind of props you on her hip, and you can see that your mother Nancy at 20 years old is very slight, not terribly tall, but she picks you up and holds you with no effort whatsoever. As she picks you up, she looks at you, and you can see, now that you're face to face with her, you can see in her eyes and in her face fear, sadness, and her eyes are darting back and forth between your eyes in a very furtive way, like an animal trapped. She brushes your hair away from your forehead. I'm gonna take you downstairs and outside. Try not to look. And if you look, try not to remember. Can you do that for me?
I'll just nod my head, but I'm gonna try and look to see what it was that she doesn't want me to look at.
She takes a deep breath.
I mean, it's...
And she turns and heads out of the room. The first thing you see is in the bathroom to the left. You see, it's hard to tell. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hard to tell how many bodies there are because of the pieces. It is a bloodbath, literally. As you pass by that room, the next thing you pass is the closet door. Closet door, the handle is turning, and the door is shaking, and there are whispers coming from the other side, but they fade quickly. Nancy takes you and darts momentarily into your bedroom. Opens up a dresser drawer with her free hand and grabs something out of the top drawer, tucks it under her arm. Takes another deep breath and begins to run hurriedly down the stairs. When you get down into the main open main entry hall down there where you can see into some of the other rooms, each room is a bloodbath. You cannot tell how many people were killed in this house, nor who they were. But at this point, it's looking like a dozen or more people are dead. A quick glance as she turns to head towards the front entrance door. You are looking over her shoulder. You can see down the hallway and into the kitchen. The floor of the kitchen is dark crimson. And even as you start to move around the corner, you hear a thunk sound, and you see a human arm fall to the floor and splash in the blood.
Oh.
Nancy takes you through the front vestibule, out the front door, and hurriedly runs down the steps. Runs over to an old, beat-up Chevy pickup truck. It's gray, but It's that kind of primer gray where the paint's peeling and you can see the rust underneath. She runs around to the passenger side real quick and tucks you in, and she shoves the box that she grabbed from the top drawer of your dresser in your bedroom. It's a long shoebox. She runs around to the side, jumps in, starts the truck. It takes a couple times. Come on. She throws it in the gear, backs up very quickly, spinning it around, slams on the gas, and drives away from Stapler House. The house is receding in the rear window of the truck. She looks over at you. Oh, go ahead.
Trying to be the good boy. She's like, I have the knowledge that I have of myself, so I know what the sounds of peeling out tires and what have you are. So like maybe a couple of seconds after that happens, I'll be like, can I open my eyes now, Mama?
Yeah, baby, you can look now. You are hurtling down the street, and in just a moment, the truck comes around the curve off of the single lane that leads to Stapler House. Nancy takes a couple of quick turns, and she comes around. You see for a moment that you are driving towards the beach. You see the lighthouse, the Candle Point Lighthouse, looming up ahead. And then she takes a quick turn, and you pass by the town square, and you can see the gazebo and the courthouse. And she comes around the corner again, pulling alongside on the wrong side of the road. She pulls in front of, passing by Page's bookstore, and there's actually an Ace Hardware where Betty and Jude's is in present day. But next to that is a familiar pizza place, Maniac's Pizza. She pulls up in front of it. She opens up, puts the truck in park, reaches in, rummages around in the glove compartment, and pulls out a marker. She takes the box from off of your lap. She goes, "Look at that sign, Billy. Look at the restaurant. Remember it. Stare at it until you see it when you close your eyes." You hear the squeaky sound of the marker on cardboard as she's writing Billy Stapler and writing the address of the Stapler House on the shoebox. She goes, "Stay here. Keep looking. Memorize it." And she jumps out and runs inside. Inside, we see through the window Nancy moving to the corner booth and tucking the shoebox under the booth in that corner booth at Maniac's Pizza.
That's so cool.
She tucks it back in just a little bit further, then she gets up. She runs out of the store, and you see her looking back and forth, and she kind of takes it all in, jumps in the truck, starts it, or puts it in gear, and peels out and starts driving. As soon as she hits M22, she starts driving west out of Paradise. She says, "We're going away. Found us a new place to live. You're going to have a big brother. You're going to have a dad. We're going to be a family. I know you probably won't remember all of this, Billy. I hope you don't remember most of it. But I can only take you so far. you're gonna have to come back here. But I will keep you safe as long as I can. And then you see the truck driving west along M22 and pass by the sign that says Traverse City, however many miles. Coop. As Billy grabbed you and jumped through the window, you feel the sensation as he moves through, and then suddenly he's not there. You're still on the floor. You're lying on the floor looking up at the ceiling. A drop of water falls down from the ceiling and bloop, lands on your cheek. Another one. Bloop. Looking up, you see a growing water stain on the ceiling above. As if in slow motion, you see Billy running and jumping out the window. You see the others reacting quickly. Laz holding the fire poker, some of them looking like they're turning to run, while Ashley sits placidly in the wicker chair watching everything unfold. As this is happening in slow motion around you, Coop, a deluge of water suddenly bursts from the ceiling and pours down onto your head. You feel as if the house is tilting to one side and the water begins to cascade out the open door. The water that has fallen down around you is so much that it's picked you up and you are now floating in this water. And as the house seems to tilt, you are being brought with the water like a current out into the hallway. As you pass by the rooms in the hallway, each room you pass by, a door closed seems to shake in its door frame and then burst open, and more water pours in, adding into this flood. All around you, you can see furniture, books, clothing, boxes, and other detritus crashing into you, and as the swirling current is carrying you towards the main stairs, which you can see as you're approaching them have become like a whitewater rapids descending to the first level. Are you doing anything? Try to stop yourself, or are you just literally going with the flow?
Treading water. Trying to keep my head above water. I'll probably try to, when we get to the staircase, grab onto the railings.
Go ahead and make me a brawn check.
Okay. Do I get no, I don't have it anymore. Somebody else has it. The meteorite.
Yep.
That's a 6.
You grab hold of the spindles on the banister as you're dragged along with the rushing current, struggling to keep your head above the water. But the current is too strong. You feel your hands moving past some of these as you try to grab them, and then suddenly you are ejected into the first floor. The current is less strong here, but you can see that the water level is rising. It looks like maybe water is also flooding up from the basement. The water on the first floor is nearly 8 feet deep. As you are treading water as best you can, Oop, something brushes past your feet. Dark shadow in the already dark water passes below you. You can see where you are. Some of the water seems to be moving towards the front entrance that you all entered the house through.
Coop's doggy paddling over there. He can't swim. It's the
As
best he
you-
can do.
As you swim towards the front of the house, doggy paddling your way forward, You feel the water current suddenly pushing harder and faster at your back. Glancing behind you, you can see something large just pushing its way towards you rapidly. The water moving ahead of it in a V crest. Something snags at the back of your shirt, and you're pulled underwater. There's a sudden muffled sound of shattering glass and splintering wood. And once again, the current sweeps you along. You are unceremoniously dumped out into the front yard of the Stapler house, as if the house itself has just regurgitated you. But you are not alone. Next to you, holding you close with one scaly claw, is a massive alligator. You can see his tattoo and barcode just there near the haunch. This is James, albeit much smaller, and he's shrinking. Ooh. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say roll a d6 for me.
No, you.
Actually, sorry, you'd roll a d4, not a d6.
Oh, well. That's a 1.
Okay. Oak, as you have watched Billy grab hold of Coop and jump through the open window, and it sounds like some of the others might be looking to make their escape as well. What is your first action, Oak, as the house is beginning to collapse around you?
Oh. I honestly think for the first time in this game, Oak doesn't know what to do. He's so good at knowing what to do and like planning. And in this moment, because he doesn't know what this is, and since Ashley said that it's not her doing this, he has no idea what to do. So, I think I'm gonna freeze and just like, I think I turn to look at Laz, and then I turn to look at Ashley Raven, and an almost, yeah, I think the sensation of almost like quicksand occurs for Oak, because his feet feel heavy, and he feels like he's just like a miniature on a D&D map. He just feels heavy and weighted and just there, placed, like he can't move.
As you freeze.
Jake, may I jump in?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Laz is like bent down and picked up this poker, and he's about to try to make sure that everybody's already headed towards the exit before he starts turning, and he sees that Oak is frozen there, and he runs the short distance between them and drops to his knees in that kind of like slide that skateboarders do when they fall, where they just kind of fall on their knees and their shins and just kind of slide until I'm in front of him, and I grab a hold of his shoulders. I'm like, hey, look, Luke, Yoda, Dagobah, all right, let's go.
Okay, Dagobah, yeah. And he'll hop on your back and just close his eyes, because in this moment, I think the fear of losing y'all has taken over him, because he doesn't know how to solve this problem.
As Laz, as you grab Oak and throw him up onto your shoulders, you feel the weight settle in there. You're holding the poker in your hand, and you turn. And in that fraction of a second, you are no longer in Stapler House. You feel the heavy weight of a rucksack on your back where Oak was just a moment ago. You are one of a dozen soldiers on patrol somewhere in the middle of Vietnam. It is 1969. You are hot and sweating more than you ever have in your life. Your feet hurt, your back hurts, and the steel pot helmet on your head feels like it weighs 20 pounds. Your fatigues are saturated with sweat and cling to you with every step. In your hands, you clutch not an iron fireplace poker, but an M16. As you look down at the weapon in your hands, you stumble and nearly fall. Behind you, someone says, "Jesus, Eccles, why'd you fucking stop, man? We don't need no club-footed Claymore activator blowing himself up."
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
And then
Where the hell are we?
you hear your voice. As you've started to say this, you actually hear your father's voice say, "Can it, Ferris?" This is Lyle Eccles' voice that is coming out of your mouth. As you say, "Where are we?" Ferris goes, "Come on, man. Been in this jungle for, what, 12 days? Don't know where you are by now? Eyes ahead, man."
Can't keep track of anything in this shithole. This place sucks.
Just watch your step, man. I'm just saying. First platoon lost 4 guys last week because that numbnut Sebring fucking fell asleep while walking and stepped right onto a VC booby trap. Again, you hear your father's voice. "Well, we're 3rd platoon. Fucking mad dogs. Woof, 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 woof." And you hear, not loudly, but around you, the rest of the platoon going, "Hoof, hoof, 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 hoof." Suddenly, from the front of the patrol, the point man, a tall blonde-haired man from Missouri named Sexton, calls back to you. "Hey, Eccles. I was just thinking." "Yeah. Don't strain yourself too hard, Sexton." Har. I was just thinking about your wife." Someone in the back of the patrol goes, "Yeah, me too. Every night in my bunk." You hear yourself, "Fuck off, man." There's just a hint of humor. This is the brothers in arms joking in the midst of tension. Sexton calls over his shoulder to you again, and he kind of turns around so he's facing you, walking backwards a little bit. "What did you say she was? Drummer, right? What's the name of that band she's in?" Your father's voice again. They play mostly CCR and Doors covers right now. They're called Lazarus." Sexton pulls out a photograph from his breast pocket and holds it up. It's a black and white picture of Jeannie Eccles sitting behind a set of drums, staring straight into the camera. The same picture your dad told you he carried around in his helmet his whole tour. Again, your father's voice. "Hey, give that back, you dick." "Chill out, man. I just borrowed it for the night. Look, your girl is probably..." The jungle around you reverberates with the sudden and deafening roar of an explosion. You instinctively dive for cover and begin to scan the tree line, searching for contact. Your breathing is coming fast and shallow, and sweat is dripping down your brow and into your eyes. The only sound you hear is the last few pieces of Sexton raining down around you. Lying on the trail next to the smoking crater that was Sexton only a moment before lies the photograph of Jeannie Eccles, singed around one edge and dappled with a few fresh drops of blood. You hold the photograph in your hand as you look down at it. Your focus shifts from the photo to the 6-month-old baby lying in the crib looking up at you. I never did hear what Sexton was going to say about your mom, though. One minute he was there, the next, boom. He was guts and bones and blood. Guess it was his time. Ferris, Alan, DeLuca, they never made it out of the jungle either. Not in one piece, anyway. Hell, guess I didn't either. Fucking Nam kept a big old piece of my soul. He lifts the bottle of whiskey in his other hand up into the air in a drunken toast. To Sexton, Ferris, and Allen, and DeLuca, and my soul. And he tips it back and takes a huge swig. All right, lass. Go to sleep. He stumbles out of the nursery, down the hall to the bedroom. Jeannie is lying curled under some blankets. Her legs tucked up to her chest. Her head turned away from Lyle. Sets the bottle down heavily on the nightstand and crawls into bed. As he turns off the lamp, he says, "You know, sooner or later you're gonna have to hold him. Can't hide in here all the damn time." He turns his back to Jeannie as he settles into the bed. On the other side, Jeannie lies motionless, staring at a single piece of paper propped amongst a handful of pill bottles and an ashtray. The piece of paper is a check made out to Lyle and Jeannie Eccles in the sum of $250,000, signed by Reginald Hawthorne Stapler. On the memo line is written, "Summer, 1985. Jeannie begins to weep.
Oh my god.
As Laz throws you up onto his shoulders, Oak, you never get there. You feel the motion of yourself being thrown backwards, but that motion continues, slowly and softly. As you see around you, none of your friends. The walls of this house, broken apart and drifting. The scene that you saw taking place outside, with the constant movement of time, the setting sun and the rising sun, and the setting moon and the rising moon, it's still frozen in that moment, the dark before twilight. And you can see all around you, though, because you are floating in this vastness. Above you, the Milky Way and a million billion stars float. You can't see her, but you hear Ashley Raven's voice. You are an anomaly among anomalies. Perhaps you are even a paradox. You see, Oak, for everyone else, time and space are something over which they have no control. They are a force of nature that grabs a hold of them at the moment of their birth, carries them along its path until their inevitable death, beginning to end, life and death, and everything in between. Each of their journeys is a single, infinitesimally minute mark in their own microcosm of existence. You continue to float in this space. Around you, you see not only the deconstructed Stapler house, but in the distance you see the Candle Point lighthouse floating in the void. You see the various buildings and storefronts, the fancy houses up on Stone Hill, everything as if in that same metaphor you used, or simile of like being a miniature on a D&D mat. It's like you're watching the entire tabletop experience be disassembled. The voice continues. But for you, time and space move around you, alongside you. You don't travel along the timeline or any of its infinite branches. You exist at every point along every possibility, from the beginning to the end and back again. Life, death, and everything in between, and even beyond. Right now, your consciousness has chosen to exist in this moment in time, in this place. You've chosen these people around you, folk, your friends. In all of time and space, you and they exist here and now. But that is all about to change. You are at a nexus of 1,000,000 billion possibilities, and very soon you will exist, along with your friends, at a very different present in a very different place. The grand experiment is changing, and you, Orson Axel Kubrick, are the catalyst. You will instinctively bend time and space to save your friends. It is inevitable. It has already happened. And when the time that you have already chosen arrives, you will leave your friends. Here and now, and you will exist in their past. You will grow. You will learn. Eventually you will understand. But you are not ready yet. You need more growth. More hardship. More discipline. What happens next hasn't yet been written. Futurum Nondum Scriptum. You're left those words echoing in your mind. Have you anything you wish to say in response?
Yeah. I didn't want to interject in that because that was beautiful, but there's a part of me that wanted to respond and ask questions, but I think in this moment he's hearing this and he sees everything going on, and even though there's this vastness of space, it feels like walls itself are closing in. He feels much smaller than he's ever felt before. He's always been the smallest kid on the playground, always the smallest child, always the one that has the hardest hardships. And yet he still feels small, even in the vastness of all this stuff that has been explained to him. And I think in that moment, he just says out, but if it hasn't happened yet, then I can change it. Then I can write my own story. Then I can be with the people I want to be with, and be around the people I want to be with, and I don't have to accept it, you know? I don't have to. This doesn't have to be the way things are. I can change things. Don't you want that? Don't you want things to change and be better and not this? Because I certainly don't. And I think in that moment, in the vastness of space, the lighthouse is spinning around, and it's casting this vast beam across time and space. And as it does so, these green doors with brass handles begin to float up into the space that he's in. And as they do, they begin to fold up. So there's a door on the bottom of him. There's a door on each side. There's doors that now begin to fold in and shape a dome. And he is once again in that green glass lighthouse. But this time, that lighthouse isn't even movable. He has now formed into basically a sarcophagus, this tight-fitting, claustrophobic space where he cannot escape from it because it is inevitable. Even though he has all of these powers that she says he has, it's inevitable. And he begins to breathe heavy. You're wrong. You're wrong, Ashley. I can change things. I can change things. I'm not just some little kid. I'm not just some little kid who's gonna be left alone. I'm not just some little kid who's just gonna be forgotten about. I am something more. I promise you I am. Please don't let me lose my friends. I can't do that. I can't.
As if to emphasize your cries of not wanting to be left alone, the view we see is of this constructed sarcophagus of green doors with brass handles. And it is floating in the void of space, with no one and nothing around. And as it floats further away, we just hear from within Oak's muffled, plaintive cries. Jessica, what are you doing as everybody begins to, around you, seems to suddenly be making plans of action? Billy's jumping out the window with Coop. Laz has run over and is picking up Oak, throwing him on his back. It's you, Anne, and Rosie still in here. What would you be doing, Jessica?
Jessica looks to Anne. But I think instead of waiting for Anne to make the first move, as she always does, Jessica is not going to touch Anne because Jessica doesn't want to touch anyone ever again in any way after what she did to Coop. But she's going to yell to Anne that we need to get out of here.
Anne looks at you and just says, "Let's go," and turns towards the open door. One second.
While Jake is writing a short novel, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we have all kinds of great t-shirts like the one Tamiko is wearing, the one I'm wearing, and so many more. You can get them on t-shirts, tank tops, coffee mugs, and so much more. Teespring.com. This is Trinity Rainbow, Maine.
That was a planned ad break. Around you, the house is crumbling, falling apart at the seams. Timbers, plaster, ceilings, tiles, and more are tumbling down almost in slow motion. You blink, and for a moment, as you glance back at the window, you swear you see Coop floating alone in the sky. Sorry, Oak. Damn it.
Yes!
Damn it.
Happen.
Look,
it has to happen on the finale.
I overcorrected in my head. Blinking again, you swear as you open the door, you see a flood of water rushing past you, dragging Coop down the hallway. But as you blink, there's no water. You don't even see Coop being dragged down the hallway. And then as you glance around you, you realize you don't see Billy, Laz, Rosie, Oak. It's just you and Anne.
Yeah, Jessica. Jessica turns to Anne. Let's go. They'll find their own way out.
She's kind of looking past you. Where's Billy? All right.
He'll get out. It's fine. We have to find our way out.
She starts moving down the hallway. This doesn't look right. And as she points that out, you realize you are seeing beyond the apparent destruction of the house. It's like it's some kind of illusion, real enough for anyone experiencing it. But you and Anne seem to be unaffected. As you move out of this room and into the hallway, the door frame splinters, cracks, and shatters into 1,000 pieces under the crushing weight of the collapsing roof. But none of them pierce you. You walk like specters, ghosts haunting the final moments of the once proud Stapler house. And yet, the idea that it is all an illusion persists. You descend the crumbling stairs to the main entry hall. And as your foot steps onto that final step, onto the hardwood floor below, something shifts. You know that you are no longer in the midst of the destruction. You can see through the windows all around the house, different versions of Stapler House itself in different states of destruction. Out this window, the house is washed away in a flood. Out this window, the house is immolated in an inferno. Over here, you see the house being lifted off of its very foundation and torn to shreds by a tornado. Over here, the house simply explodes. But all of these destructions are violent and thorough. Except for this one. As you are looking out one of these windows at one of these iterations of the house being destroyed, you don't so much hear it as you sense something behind you. Rather than turn around, Anne looks to you. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, without really turning her head and only her eyes, Jessica also looks to Anne and just slowly nods her head. What do we do?
Anne starts to turn slowly around. You hear her let out take in a subtle gasp. You turn as well.
Yeah, with that gasp, Jessica she has to look.
You find yourself standing in front of a tall, ornate, full-length mirror. Its stand and frame delicately carved wood. A large curtain of crimson velvet is draped over the mirror, obscuring its reflective surface. Then you hear a voice. It's called the Jealous Mirror. And Ashley Raven steps out from behind the mirror, one hand almost lovingly caressing the frame. I looked into it once, many years ago, and that's where I met Persephone. She was everything I was not, could not be. Where I am ambitious, ruthless, and even selfish, Persephone was none of those things. She was patient, nurturing, and selfless. thought I could merge our two halves. Make us into one complete and balanced person. But, in my hubris, I made a mistake. She looks over at Anne. I kept her on this side of the looking glass for too long. In time, she became less Alice and more Mad Hatter. You see, our reflections are not meant to walk amongst us. It's abhorrent nature. When I brought Persephone into this world, and when Anne entered this world, we created a vacuum on the other side. An absence. If left too long, that absence will become an abscess, festering, and rotting, and corrupting. Do you say anything in response at this point?
Yeah, Jessica. Why me? Why do I have this, or why did I have this reflection? Why did Anne, and she like gestures to the mirror and to Anne, like, become Anne?
I wish I could tell you. There are, believe it or not, things that even I don't know. I sought out the jealous mirror. I learned of it, I looked for it, and I used its power willingly. It is my belief that the jealous mirror sought you out, chose you. But why? I could not tell you. Now, two of you are here and have been here together. That absence is already beginning to rot. I don't know what will happen if it's allowed to continue. Believe me when I say this. I want better for you. For both of you. I am so sorry it has to be this way. And she goes and pulls the crimson curtain off of the mirror. With a sudden flourish as she rips the curtain away, a bright silver light shoots out of the mirror and engulfs both you and Anne in its refulgence. Ashley shields her eyes for a moment, and when the light dims and she looks back, both of you are gone. Now, before I move on, I'm going to give you all a choice because we are at where we would normally break. However, I don't know exactly how much longer we have. It won't be as long as a normal session because I'm also still not feeling the greatest. So I leave the option to you. We can break now, or we can power through and end early.
I'd say power through. That's my vote.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yep.
Okay.
Shoot you, motherfucker.
Sorry, I'm mostly feeling okay, and then waves of not being okay are hitting me. And
Yeah, let's get it done.
all right. Back up in the solar room. Rosie, you're seeing everybody take action around you. Some are going out the window. Both Laz and Billy seem to have grabbed hold of the littles. Jessica and Anne have turned and bolted for the door. Rosie, what are you doing?
So I have a question. What do I see out the window after Billy and Oak went? Or sorry, Billy and Coop went.
You see Billy and Coop jump out the window and scramble across the roof, looking for a way down.
Okay. That still makes Rosie nervous. I think Rosie would probably follow Jessica and Anne out the door and just haul ass out of the house, or try.
You turn and run after them. And as you crash through into the hallway, you also are no longer in Stapler House. It is raining. Cold, harsh, and stinging against your face. You are standing in a cemetery, surrounded by dozens of mourners dressed in black, gathered around an open grave. The staccato sound of the rain falling against the numerous umbrellas fills the air and nearly drowns out the final words of the pastor. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We commit Sherry's body unto you, O Lord. Your father stands next to you, staring down into the open hole in the earth. He wears his sorrow openly on his face, though his tears are lost in the rain. He crouches down and picks up a handful of dirt, hesitates a moment, and then throws the dirt down into the grave and onto the emerald green casket with the brass handles. Your father suddenly lets out an uncontrolled sob and cries out, "No!" as he drops to his knees. You are now standing in the hallway of a hospital. The doctor stands in front of your father, reaches out to grab his shoulder, doing his best to console him. He helps your father to his feet and over to a nearby chair in the waiting area. We did absolutely everything we could, Mr. Gunnarsson. But she just lost too much blood too quickly. The doctor motions to somebody behind you, and you see a nurse approaching, carrying a newborn baby swaddled in maternity ward blanket. As the baby utters a single soft cry, your father turns suddenly. Is that her? The nurse smiles and carefully places the baby in his arms. As he looks down at the newborn, tears still streaming down his face, he suddenly lets out a small laugh and smiles. Your mother's eyes. The nurse asks him, Have you chosen a name for her yet? Still crying and still smiling down at the newborn, he says, Rosie. You are sitting in the back of a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle. Next to you, kneeling on the floor behind the driver's seat, a 7-year-old Cal plays with an Evel Knievel motorcycle, driving it along the bench seat, making vroom, vroom, vroom noises as he performs stunts back and forth across the seat. Through the windshield, you can see the ominous tower and peaked roofs of Stapler House. The passenger door opens suddenly, and your father helps your very pregnant mother into her seat. He closes the door and hurries around the front of the car to the driver's side. As he gets in, he slams the door. Jim. He slams his palms against the steering wheel, making Cal flinch next to you. God damn it, Jerry. What the hell did we just do? It was the right decision, Jim. This will help with the new baby, with Rosie. And with Cal. We need all the help we can get. And this is like a godsend. With you laid off. He cuts her off with a withering look. It just feels a hell of a lot like we just sold our unborn baby to some rich old geezer in a creepy-ass mansion. 14 years, Jim. Think of the life this money will help us give Cal and Rosie. When the time comes, we send her to spend the summer with my parents. Well, we signed the damn contract, so it's a done deal. But I've got a bad feeling about this. Jim starts the car, turns around in the driveway in front of the sprawling house. You, Rosie, are left standing alone as your family drives away in their green Volkswagen Beetle. A single bumper sticker on the back of the car says Futurum Nondum Scriptum. The six of you have each independently moved through the house in the wake of the death of Persephone and the coming destruction of the house itself. And each of you has learned, as you did so, that you were immediately separated from everyone else. The words of Ashley Raven telling you that things were about to change. The experiment was changing. She gave you too much freedom, not enough boundaries. All of these things are reverberating through your minds. I'm going to roll a d6. Jessica. You have this feeling like you have just slept the deepest sleep of your life. You struggle to open your eyes. Reluctant to open your eyes. You feel nestled, warm, comfortable in a comforter and blankets. Your pillow under your head. The sensation of a dream, nightmare, tugs at the corners of your mind. But unlike other dreams and nightmares you've had, this one doesn't fade as you wake up. But it becomes muddy as you remember everything that has happened to you. You open your eyes and you find yourself lying in your bedroom. However, this is where the first of the muddy clashing of memories happens. Because the bedroom you remember, large, spacious, posters all over the walls, painted to your specifications, decorated to your style and taste. This room is a quarter of the size of that room. The walls are dark brown paneling. The dresser overflowing with clothes. Still, if not the actual expensive designer clothes that you so often like to wear, definitely cheaper knockoffs. On the wall to the right of your bed is the closet, partially ajar. As you open your eyes, you see yourself looking into the mirror on that door. The memories that begin to clash, you realize you're home in the trailer that you share with your mother. After your father left, he somehow had been keeping separate bank accounts from your mother for years and left you with hardly anything. You and your mom live alone in Starlight Mobile Park in Paradise, Michigan. You start to wake up. These memories kind of colliding, and you feel, to a certain extent, these new memories are just sort of settling in at the surface. You still remember everything in your life before, but you know where you are and who you are. You say or do anything as you wake up.
I imagine Jessica puts a hand through her hair, which has probably been ruined through so much hairspray and bleaching. It's so like hay. It's very, very stiff as she kind of runs it through her fingers through it. She tries to look other places in the bedroom, but her eyes always fall back to the mirror on the door. As she stands and looks at her reflection.
As you stand and look at your reflection, it's just your reflection. It moves as you move. It does what you do. It doesn't seem to move independently. It doesn't give you any curious looks or act in any way than you would expect a reflection to act. In the other room, elsewhere in the trailer, you hear your mother's voice. Jess, I put coffee on. You need to get dressed and ready for school. And you see, as you look in that direction, laid against, or rather hanging on part of the open door next to the mirror, is a school uniform.
Yeah, Jessica starts getting ready, and she hears that voice, and a smile comes across her lips as she gets ready to go. And as, if you'll allow like a little bit of narrative,
Yep.
as she gets all ready, pins up her hair, she grips on to the doorknob, and as she pulls, we see the door open. It's a little stuck, so she has to kind of like reef on it a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those
and
cheap hollow core doors that's always getting stuck.
yeah, so she has to kind of reef on it. You hear that like sound of wood on wood, and like that kind of as she opens it up, and I imagine that the camera kind of pans down to her feet as we see a doorknob fall, and it has the fingerprint indents as Jessica moves out of the room.
And as you leave the room and head down the hall towards the kitchen, the camera lingers for a moment, turns and looks in the room where your reflection is still standing there with one hand up on the glass. Em, go ahead and roll me a d6, please. Re-rolling 3.
6.
Laz, you feel like you've just had the best sleep of your life. You feel so incredibly well rested. You've slept longer and harder than you can remember in ages. It's the kind of sleep that when you start to wake up, you don't remember what day of the week it is, what time of day it is. Not even sure entirely where you are. It's hard. Your eyes are heavy. But after a moment, you're able to open them and look around your room. As your room which before was the sort of dingy, smallish room lit by a single incandescent light hanging from a pull chain kind of thing. This is a spacious room. You are waking up on a queen-sized bed. Well, it's 1985. It's a waterbed.
Obviously.
And you are sort of sprawled in the middle of it. All around the room are posters of skaters, and there's on the floor next to the bed are Thrasher magazines. There's Star Wars posters and various toys and other things all around the room. One wall of your room has probably 10, 12 different skateboard decks. And in the same way as I described with Jessica, new memories are flooding into your mind. But as you remember everything that has happened to you up to this point, one memory sort of sticks in your mind for a moment. Early in the summer, you vandalizing the Stone Hill sign to say Stoner Hill. And that clashes with a new memory as you realize you live on Stone Hill in one of the largest mansions in Paradise.
Oh.
The door to your room, you hear a knock. You hear your mother's voice. Laz? Are you up?
Yeah. I'm awake.
Are you decent?
Not really. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. I just want to respect your privacy. And she hesitantly turns the knob. And you see your mother looking like she was probably up at the crack of dawn, did her hair and makeup, got dressed up. She's actually wearing a bright yellow dress, and she has an apron on, and you can see a little bit of flour on there. And she says, "All right, first day of school. I went ahead and made breakfast. I didn't know if you were still eating bacon or ham, so I made both. Eggs, pancakes, everything. Dad's got to leave for the office soon, but you can catch him if you head down to the kitchen before he leaves. I got your uniform all pressed over there on the chair."
Jake, whenever you say that new memories flooded in, are enough new memories now present in Laz's mind that this is not weird and unusual?
I will leave it to you to process
Okay.
how weird and unusual it is, but
Okay.
you are now witnessing and being flooded with memories of a version of your mom who is a June Cleaver.
Polar opposite, yeah.
She is, yes, the opposite of the mother you grew up with.
Okay.
She is kind,
So he kind of
caring, and attentive.
watches her kind of bustle around the room with kind of a confused look on his face. What the fuck? My uniform? What?
Language. And, yes, your uniform. I know you don't want to wear it, but it's policy. Do you want me to drive you into school, or are you gonna ride your little skateboard in the town?
No, I'm gonna ride my little skateboard.
Ride your little skateboard.
All right, well, get dressed and come down to the kitchen. Say hi to your dad before he heads off to work. You realize the new memories flooding in is that your dad is the vice president of operations at Paradise Orchards processing plant.
Oh. Awesome.
All right, so once she's kind of finished, moving around the room and giving all of these directions, he waits for her to leave before he then kind of throws the covers back and starts to get ready. He puts the uniform on, but obviously he puts it on incorrectly. He doesn't tuck the shirt in. He makes sure that it's not exactly proper. And I think
the uniform is, so everybody is clear. This is the 1980s, so it is skirts for the girls, khaki pants for the boys. It is, though any of you within the confines of the game are more than welcome to challenge authority if you wish on school uniform policy. But it's basically either you wear a white shirt and then you're either wearing a sweater or a blazer, both of which have a crest. But I will not reveal the crest just yet.
Okay, so I think he has the blazer, and he's just not putting it on just yet. He's going to carry that with him. But as he's about to leave his room, he kind of looks down at his nails, and then he turns back and he grabs a Sharpie off of his desk and drops it in his pocket.
I would like you to roll me a d4, please.
2.
Coop. You have the best sleep you have ever had of your life. You wake up feeling incredibly rested. And as you start to open your eyes, you find yourself in a modest second-story bedroom. Nothing spectacular, but by no means shabby or anything like that. However, I imagine how Coop would probably have this decorated is there's probably a lot of geodes and rocks along the top of the dressers and along the headboard, and lots of books on geology and other topics. And as you wake up and sort of roll over on the nightstand next to the bed, or rather hanging from the chair next to the desk in the room, is a prosthetic arm attachment that this new memory floods in of you going to Traverse City with your parents and getting fitted. Actually, no, you wouldn't have gone to Traverse City. You would have gone to Grand Rapids. And worked with their prosthetics lab. And it's a not a top of the line model, but basically it goes across your shoulders and attaches at the end of your hand, and there's like a rounded edged hook that closes with rubber bands, and a cable that when you flex your actually I think it's your left hand, you said that you lost, it's as you flex your shoulder blade,
right.
Okay, as you flex your shoulder blade, it causes that hook part to open, and then you release and the rubber bands cause it to close down. You can smell breakfast being cooked. You smell coffee, and you can hear your mom tinkering around down in the kitchen. Folded neatly at the edge of your bed is a school uniform. What are you gonna do?
Coop gets up and he goes to like scratch his head and just kind of bonks his forehead with a stump. In his new memories, does he know how he lost his hand?
Yep. But in your you know how you lost your hand in Stapler House.
Mm-hmm.
In your new memories, it was a freak accident that I will let you decide. You don't have to decide it now, but I will let you be the narrator.
Come up with a complex narrative right now.
I grew up with a friend that had that wore a prosthetic arm. He was born with part of his lower arm missing, And when people asked, he always told them a horse bit it off.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
what is it? So Coop will search his new memories for how to don this contraption, and he will get that on, and then put on he'll hold up the uniform, looking at it critically, like, what the hell? What is this? Okay. And he puts it on. He dons his monkey suit and goes downstairs because he just realized he is very hungry.
As you head into the kitchen, you see that as you walking down the stairs, you actually can see as you hit the landing, looking out the one window, you live on the in one of the neighborhoods on the south side of Paradise, and through your window you can see the Peaceful Waters Protestant Church, and you can see the sign that says Pastor Andy Hill.
Okay.
As you round the corner and head into the kitchen, you see your mom still in her robe, hair up in curlers, as she's putting the last of some food on a plate. And as you go to sit at the table and she sets it in front of you, you realize there is a man sitting at the table. This man, in your new memories, you know that this is your mom's current boyfriend. He looks to be in his early 40s, little heavy set. He's wearing a sort of an old t-shirt and a pair of shorts, and has this sort of ratty old robe that's open as he's sitting there, and he's eating a bowl of cereal. He just kind of, as you sit down, he reaches out and kind of ruffles your head, ruffles your hair as he takes a bite, and a little bit of the milk dribbles down into his beard. He adjusts his glasses. In your new memories, you know that this is Jake, the boyfriend. Couldn't resist.
Oh God, I can't.
So, it is now canon. I am your mom's boyfriend.
In the TV version of this, like, the guy turns around and we as the audience are like Leonardo DiCaprio and the one is like, oh.
You are ready for the big day of school?
No. I'd rather not go.
Yeah.
Is summer just ending? Is this first day of school?
It's first day of school.
I don't want summer to be over, Jake.
It was a fun summer. We went to Cedar Point. That was fun.
Yeah.
We went to Boblo Island. We went up to Lake Superior.
Yeah, they had really good rocks there.
Yeah, you got a lot of rocks up there. And we got my favorite picture. And he points over to the wall where there's a framed picture of you and him standing next to a wooden sign that says Jacobs Creek Falls.
Oh.
Side note, that's an actual place. I have that actual picture.
Oh. So Coop starts digging in to whatever has been cooked. And while he's eating, I still have, I still have all of these old memories in my head, and Coop's gonna look down and see if he still has the watch on his other wrist.
I know we haven't done a lot of this session, but I want to roll a D100. What you got?
Hold on. I thought you were rolling one, so I was
sorry.
like,
Sorry.
12.
I'm
12.
rolling, and you're rolling. I rolled an 81. The watch is
Oh,
not
Jesus.
on your wrist.
Oh. And what is it? And Coop kind of looks around to see if he can see his backpack, and I'm just gonna see if it's the same backpack or if it's different. Should
Not
be able
all-
to tell at a glance.
Not only is it the same backpack, it has the same tire mark on it.
Interesting.
And digging around inside the backpack, you do see the watch and a couple other items in there.
And a crushed Bananarama.
Yep. Pieces
Never
of
got rid of it.
Bananarama.
Don't have the heart.
In fact, over your shoulder, you hear Jake the boyfriend go, "Oh man, not Bananarama. Ain't no pencil gonna fix that."
No.
If you know, you know. All right. Finish your breakfast and I'll take you to school. Your mom's got to get ready for work.
Okay.
I would like you to roll a d4, please.
2.
That's you. Reroll.
4.
Billy Stapler. You wake up having had the best sleep of your life. No. Actually, Billy, you
I feel
wake
like I've
up.
heard this somewhere.
You wake up having not slept very well.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
It was a restless night. Another restless night. Before your memories that you've had up to this point start to get flooded in, or you start to remember everything that's happened to you to this point, the current new memories seem to take hold first, and you realize it was a full moon just 3 days ago. It always takes you a few days to readjust after a full moon. But as you sit up in bed, you are in your bedroom in the Stapler house in Paradise, Michigan. You see the room decorated as you would normally expect it to be decorated. And you can see over... not only do you have a wardrobe, but you have one of those like divider things, fancy dividers for changing your clothes behind. And the school uniform is hung up over that. As you are starting to wake up, you hear a light knock on the door.
Yeah.
The door creaks open a little bit. Master William, your mother and grandmother
Yes?
would have you join them in the dining room for breakfast. They've asked me to make sure that you brush your teeth and comb your hair.
Okay. There's definitely frustration that's coming off of him. I don't know how much of, similar to what some of the other people asked of, like, the new memories making things in, but like his last sensation of the old memories is how much this is not his house. And to wake up here, it instantly takes him right to like seething. So I don't know whether there's any ability to like attempt to mask that, or whether this
Yeah, that'd be a grit
supposed
check.
butler would even.
That would be a grit
All
check.
right. That's a 14.
You don't know if your valet, whose name is Carson, by the way, you don't know if he picked up on this or is ignoring it or didn't notice it, whatever. But he doesn't say anything. Get dressed. Join your family
Yes, I will.
in the dining
I will
room,
do
and the
all
car
of
will
those
take you to
things.
school. 'Cause- 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 'C
So I mumble underneath my breath, I hate this. It's probably just loud enough that as he's closing the door, he could hear it if he wanted to. But I get up and I do all of those things. Butler, prep. He just begins mumbling, trying to like take his time. And I imagine, whoever is downstairs probably hears the minutes worth of pacing as he's just trying to get himself under control, because this aspect is the last thing that Billy would want. He remembers the people in his school that would have come from something like this. They did not make life easy on the others. While he's been a bit of a rebel this summer, like, it's against adults. He's whenever he's been in control, it's tried to be good to the other kids. So, but he gets ready, brushes his hair, brushes his teeth, and comes down looking as presentable as possible.
As you, join your family in the dining room, you see that your mother, Nancy, is seated on the left side of the table. Across from her is your grandmother, Darla Stapler. The head of the table is left empty. Above the fireplace mantle is a portrait of Reginald Hawthorne Stapler. The seat to the right of that seat is also left vacant. On the wall behind it is a portrait of J. Harrison Stapler.
So,
in this room, in addition to Darla and Nancy, is her brother Jerry. Your grandmother looks at you and says, "As always, you look quite sharp in your uniform. Eat your breakfast and the car will take us in."
in my new memories, is there anything about the family being werewolves?
Absolutely. In fact, in your new memories, as you concentrate on that, you think back to 3 nights ago, the last time you wolfed out. Not only is it you and your mother and your grandmother, but the 3 of you stood out under the full moon in the cemetery behind the Stapler house, and 2 of the graves opened up, and your great-grandfather and your great-great-grandfather emerged as werewolves. The 2 eldest Staplers are essentially undead werewolves.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because why not? Do I know how to
Oh,
transformation? I'm sensitive as borders. This is not.
They're undead robot werewolves.
yes, Ted, you just went full Cylon.
That's next season. Don't you spoil that already? Come on.
You went full Cylon, Ted. Your voice is full on robot.
That's why
I just
I don't know what changed. But so with that revelation, I'm going to go ahead and shift, unless you had something you wanted to relay to us in your databanks.
you could say, like, with these becoming ingredients, do I have control of the transformation? Or like, is this the scenario of like, the pump out, it's you give in and a wave should.
You know that your grandmother has been coaching you with your transformations. Something about it coinciding with adolescence and puberty, you have not fully gained control of your transformations. That's why they are with you at every transformation.
Just want to be sure that I can transition over the roll on D6, D3, D4.
Nope. Oak.
Hit me with it, Jake. I'm good. Let's go.
You wake up having had a decent night's sleep. Not the best, but not the worst.
Meh.
You smell sizzling bacon, and you hear the clattering of pots and pans and dishes, and coming from further forward of where you're sleeping. The room you are in is quite small. It is modestly appointed. You have not a dresser, but a footlocker at the end of your bed. You have a small closet in the room. Across your footlockers leads your school uniform. And as the new memories start flooding in, Oak, you remember just last summer, the car accident. Your mom, your dad, and your sisters did not make it. That is why you have been living, and I'm suddenly blanking on the name of the place. You have been living in the small apartment at the back of the Shipwreck Cafe, having been essentially adopted by Heinz. And the sounds of cooking you are hearing is breakfast being prepared, but in the massive kitchen that is the Shipwreck Cafe's galley. And you know with these new memories that Heinz is in there clattering around, doing his best to make a breakfast for you or sending you off for your first day of school.
Okay. Jake, if you will allow me to process,
I will allow you
to develop and narrate. Okay. Ooh. So with all of this, Oak wakes up from the sleep, and I imagine actually to meet in the middle there with like kind of a decent sleep. I imagine in the middle of the night he was having night terrors and hyperventilating because he felt claustrophobic, and so he was having a panic attack in bed. And it eventually, the panic attack wore off, he fell asleep again, on and off all night. When he wakes up, his first instinct is to look around the room, and the room is drastically different than the first time around. But I imagine that there are certain things in place that are core memories that he holds on to. For one, he wants to look for his backpack. He wants to look for the video camera, the Polaroid, things that he had previously. Does he have those?
Yep.
Okay. He has those pieces, so good. He then looks to what I'm going to assume is in this smaller space. He doesn't have he doesn't have a dresser, but he might have something like a nightstand or something small.
Yep.
Right? On the nightstand, I imagine that there's is a picture, a framed picture of his whole family. His mom Lorraine, and his dad Oscar, his sister Shabri, and his sister Holly. All of them are now gone. And that tragic sense kind of immediately makes him seethe as he's sitting on the edge of the bed. He grips the edge of these sheets very, very tightly. And as if it's not fair, like these are not my memories. These should not be my memories. Why are these my memories? And then he then has to look for his friends. The next thing is his friends. Yes, there's the smell of food in the other room, but his friends are also drastically important to him. So he looks for another thing. He looks for scattered Polaroids, and I imagine that there is a set of scattered Polaroids somewhere in the room, and he's gonna flip them around. And do I see my friends? Do I see Laz? Do I see Rosie? Do I see Jessica? Do I see my friends that have been here before?
Roll a D100.
Okay. That is a fair ask, sir. That will be a 37 for me.
I rolled a 69.
Nice.
I'll say yes.
Okay. So in that solace, he takes a sigh of relief. And then he looks down at the one thing he has been avoiding looking at since day one, and that is his legs. He looks down at his legs. Are they still braced? Does he still have the same issues he had previous?
Because that is something so integral to your character, I will not make that decision.
Okay.
I will leave that 100% to you to decide.
Okay. I think that in this moment, yeah, I think they would be. I think they would still be there, because I feel like they had a massive car accident, the entire family, and maybe he's the only survivor, right? So since he's the only survivor, he still had something damaged. And it is catastrophic for him, but at the same time he looks and he has all these memories. Now, are the memories that we had in the past, are they fading from me? Just so I am clear, are they fading?
Nope.
Okay.
It's sort of like trying to focus on two images at once. You can only really focus on one at a time.
Yeah.
So it just depends on which one you're focusing on that takes prevalence.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. In the room, there's a number of different toys in the room. There's a number of different, a number of different posters on the wall. One of which would be like an old school Doctor Who poster, right?
Yep.
And I think in his slew of books and all the things he goes and he grabs a post-it. He goes and grabs a post-it note, and he immediately starts to write on it. And he just slaps on to this Doctor Who poster, "I'm a fucking Time Lord." And to remind himself that, damn it, I can do this. I'm not constrained. I can do this thing. And then he gets up and he sees the uniform on his bed, or on the footlocker. And he realizes that that's the next step. And then I think that's when he will grab his backpack, he'll grab all the things, and he'll walk into the room. "Hey, Hans. Smells good tonight. What are you making, buddy?"
In that, without turning his back, in that classic German sensibility, he just says, breakfast.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to cut to the final scene.
Yeah.
Rosie, you had an incredible night's sleep.
Mm.
You wake up in a very comfortable bed. As you start to wake up with that little bit of disorientation and looking around, your room is decorated with all kinds of sports posters and sports memorabilia. There's actually quite a few posters, and even in a glass case, what looks like a signed game ball from sport of your choice. But you're also seeing, as you're looking around, that this room is quite larger than you're used to.
Mm.
And you also know, with your new memories coming in, that you live on Stone Hill. In one of the more modest houses, but a wealthy house nonetheless. You hear from the hallway, you hear this sound of doo 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 doo, and then suddenly there's a loud banging on your door. And you hear Cal's voice yell in, "Wake up, jackass! You don't want to miss your first day of school!"
And I imagine it feels early, even though it's maybe kind of not. It feels early because it's the first day of school, and Rosie's been sleeping in most of the summer. And she would just kind of like shake her head and be like, "I'll show you a jackass." And she like gets out of bed, and she's just wearing what she wears to bed, which is like a football jersey, and is kind of starting to get ready.
Same thing, you find the school uniform waiting for you.
And Rosie kind of like looks at it and like looks at her legs and looks at the skirt and looks at her legs and looks at the skirt. It's like, and then just eventually kind of like sucks it up and puts it on. And she just kind of like puts on this. She definitely doesn't have any degree of care about putting this on. She just throws it all on her body. And she like grabs her stuff, her backpack, and she grabs her bat, just because it's almost like a security blanket at this point. And she grabs her hat and she puts it in her backpack too. She doesn't put it on because it's not allowed.
As you head down to the kitchen, walking into the kitchen, you're almost bowled over by your older brother.
I want to give him like a hip check. If he passes too close, I want to bump him right into like a door frame.
All right, make a fight check.
Great, I will. That's a 9.
You almost succeed. He rolled a 10.
Oh.
You see, you stagger him just a little bit, but you still sort of bounce off, and he just kind of smiles at you, and he deliberately crouches down further than he needs to and goes, tousles your hair and goes, "Keep trying, sport."
And Rosie like whaps his hand away and continues on into the
Watch
kitchen.
it. He goes and grabs a couple pieces of toast. All right, I gotta head into Traverse City. Starting the new job today. Enjoy school, loser. And as he's backing out of the room, he's going,
Yeah, and Rosie's doing that back, both doubled up.
sitting at the table in the kitchen.
Like this whole morning, she's like uncomfortably pulling the skirt down. Like it's definitely not her vibe.
Sitting at the table, reading the newspaper, several boxes of cereal laid out so you have your choice of whichever popular cereal you want. Drinking a cup of coffee is your father, Jim. He kind of looks over his glasses. I know you don't like the skirt.
Fucking hate the skirt.
Language.
Do I have to wear it? Why can't I just go to the public school? You can wear what you want at the public school.
It's just clothing. Listen, the superintendent said that the uniforms are to make sure that you kids stay focused on your studies, your extracurricular activities.
Rosie plunks down at the table, having poured her bowl of Wheaties, and she's like, well, I'm just going to be focused on the fucking draft that I feel between my knees.
Well. Anyway, have some breakfast. And, your mother's going to take you into school today. And you hear from behind you a woman's voice say, language, Rosie. She walks in and she leans down and she kisses Jim and then sits up and turns around, and Ashley Raven looks at you and says, you ready to go, dear?
Okay, not to draw this out, but what's happening with my memories right now? This is all.
At this
she's my
point,
mother.
all of your memories come crashing together. And in your mind, you know this woman to be Ashley Raven, somebody who's been an antagonist to you. But also, in your mind, this is Sherry Gunnarsson Nay Thornton, your mom. She also happens to be the superintendent, or sorry, the principal of the school.
Rosie has a mouthful of Frosted Flakes and is just like all of a sudden like
She steps forward, cut with just her 2 fingers, takes your chin, lifts it just a little bit, and says, careful, your face might freeze that way.
Okay. We should get to school. Bye. I love you, Dad. We should get to school.
As you head out following your mom / Ashley Raven to the car.
And as Rosie's walking, I will say she would like shake her head and she'd be like, it feels like summer just got started.
The next scene we see is as Jessica is standing on the sidewalk. Oak suddenly appears at Jessica's side. A very fancy car pulls up and Billy steps out, his uniform looking crisp and proper, and walks up to stand next to you. You hear the sound of a skateboard, and Laz comes skating up, stops, taps on the skateboard, kicks it up to grab hold of it. Coop comes running along, trying to keep his backpack up on his back as he runs up next to all of you. And a very bewildered looking Rosie, carrying her baseball bat, walks up and stands next to you. And the 6 of you watch as the woman you know to be Ashley Raven, but also now know to be both Rosie's mom and the principal. We turn to see what you guys are looking at. And this is where we welcome you to Paradise Academy.
Paradise Academy. Oh my
and you can,
god.
It's kind of hard to see on this image, but the crest,
great.
the crest is I'll drop the links to a couple of these images in the Discord, but the Paradise Academy crest on the over here says Paradise Academy, established 1885, Futurum Nondum Scriptum, which is also on the Paradise plaque. And right over here is a Paradise Bucks, but it looks like Laz has taken a can of spray paint and put an S on there, and it says Paradise Sucks. I will be, before season 2, releasing both the Paradise Academy and Paradise Bucks as t-shirts and stickers. I'll also do a Paradise Sucks version. I have been on a physical roller coaster for the last couple hours, just because I am not feeling well. So I need to know, how do you guys feel after that session?
Tamiko and I went 0 for 3. That's all I need you to know.
That's what I needed to know. I needed to know if if anybody guessed that you were going to school next year.
Nope.
No, not at all.
I was predicting Groundhog Day. I was predicting we just start over, but we know each other now. That was what I was thinking.
I absolutely, trust and love the entire party here. But I am cringing of like all the possible things that could go wrong for Billy are happening.
So we'll
It's
talk.
amazing.
We'll talk more later and next week with or in 2 weeks with our sort of in between session preparing. But this new session, the Paradise Academy, is a combined junior high and high school. Coop, you are in 6th grade. Oak, you are in 7th grade. Rosie, you are in 9th grade. Billy and Laz are in 10th grade, and Jessica is in 11th grade. We will be introducing a couple of new rules from a couple different systems. I'm incorporating some rules from a system called School Days, and I'm looking at adding in a couple other things. This is not going to be a Hogwarts non-magic simulator. This is what Ashley was talking about, giving you more parameters, more walls. You have the framework of school and the school year and responsibilities.
This is going to be very 80s.
And new memories, as some of you have changed stations in life. That entire first session, I wrote almost everything ahead of time. That entire last section, some of it I was making up on the fly. I knew I wanted Rosie to go last because I wanted the reveal of Ashley as your mom to be the sort of hammer drop cliffhanger.
Wow.
But I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a little different style.
Yeah.
I told Tamiko I had 2 other titles for this. One was vignettes, but I think I used that for a different show. The other one I thought was too on the nose and would have given it away. Was Saved by the Bell.
That could be the opener of the next season.
And I thought, no, that's a little too on the nose, but it's been so frustrating. I've been working on these designs for like a month and planning all this stuff out. I have pages and pages of faculty. I have maps for the new school.
What's my locker combination?
16, 4, 23.
Fucker.
So,
what are you doing?
So yeah, we'll talk more about what all this means. But boy, do I feel a sense of relief now, finally being able to really reveal to you.
Jake wakes up tomorrow morning,
Amazing.
sleeping like he's feeling better rested than he's been in a really long time.
I hope so. All right, with that, I'm going to say a huge thank you to everybody that joined us along for this ride. It's been awesome seeing everybody in the chat. If you're somebody that likes to lurk in the background, thank you. Or if you're watching later on the VODs, thank you. We appreciate you. And as always, just a huge thank you to these incredible friends and role players that trust me enough to pull this kind of a stunt and dig deep into some backstory and either explain or in some cases cause new traumas. So thank you all, Chad, Tamiko, M, Carrie, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
You mess with the bull, you get the horns, pal.